Premium lager.
Sounds like something you get from a supermarket.
I mean, it is a category that's a completely laughable category because none of
Yeah.
the beers in it are premium.
No.
They're marketed as premium,
Very macro.
but they are not premium beers.
Yeah.
Whereas this, like, maybe they're trying to reclaim that term.
I like that. They're taking the ownership back.
Yeah.
I like that.
So after essentially a year of filming content about cask ale, it's kind of nice to sit down and have 4 lagers in front of us.
Just a pint lager, Johnny.
Just basic bitch it, you know?
Yeah.
Although there's nothing basic about Utopian's beers. So for those that don't know, Utopian are a brewery that take their lager extraordinarily seriously,
Yes.
but they use exclusively, I believe it is exclusively English ingredients.
Everything, the whole bill, the whole recipe.
The whole thing.
Wow.
They also have a big sort of sustainability kind of angle to it, but also a huge traditional angle in terms of using very traditional techniques, echoing like really traditional style stuff that I'd never even heard of when they brewed them.
Right.
Things where they end up boiling, decocting for 24 hours, all kinds of mad stuff that just, you know, they've heard about from the 18th century in Germany, Czech Republic and stuff like that. To try and, I think, for me, Utopian are like the ultimate brewery in changing people's minds about lager.
Yeah.
Basically, because I think the stories that they tell through their beer and the approaches that they take are fascinating.
So they're like lager evangelists.
Oh, nice. T-shirt? So yeah, Utopian are down in Devon. I lived in Devon for 4 years.
Yeah.
Lovely place, lovely people. Didn't have good lager while I was there, but they do now. And we're going to start with what they have called premium lager.
Sounds like something you get from a supermarket.
I mean, it is a category, you know,
Yeah.
as if you're a nerd like me and you follow all of these kind of, what's the word, like research companies that try to break it down, explain what's happening in the market. Premium lager is a category that's a completely laughable category because none of the beers in it are premium.
No.
They're marketed as premium,
Very macro.
but they are not premium beers.
Yeah.
Whereas this, like, maybe they're trying to reclaim that term.
I like that. They're taking the ownership back.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a beautiful looking beer.
It really is. You know, I think as much as I want beautiful frothy head on my cask, I also want beautiful frothy head on my lagers. And just look at that.
Can't
Just
argue
look
with
at
that.
I just want to read the back because I think there's a lot of important context here. Our signature premium British lager, we'll get to British lager in a bit, is influenced by the Bavarian Helles. But just like all Utopian beers, it's been brewed solely with the finest British grown malted barley and hops. A slow, low temperature fermentation followed by a long cold conditioning gives this lager a clean and crisp finish. I mean, the rest of it is flavour gumph, which we'll dig into. But this is the point. Like, it's a British lager, which most people wouldn't necessarily know what that means. I don't think it's a style. It's a bit like Spanish lager. It's not really a style. That's just macro lager. This is just not macro lager.
Yeah.
It's a Bavarian Helles with British ingredients. Whether British lager is a helpful term, I don't know. But let's let the beer do the talking.
Oh, smells amazing.
Yeah. How good's that?
Just heavenly.
Little naughty banoffee tones.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Loads of honey, biscuit, sweetness. Ugh.
It's
Glorious.
super summery as well. Like, I just feel like I'm in a field.
Absolutely.
somewhere.
I mean, Helles was the beer that was designed to compete with the Czech Pilsner, with the addition of essentially the Bavarian tradition of beer gardens. You know, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It is drink outside on a hot day.
Damn. Gorgeous.
Yeah. It's got that kind of Bavarian Helles sweetness, but it is lighter and fresher, I think. A lot of people that don't like Helles think it is too sweet. They wouldn't have an issue with this. It does feel a bit drier and crisper.
Yeah, but it's still got some sweetness for me, because I've got a sweet tooth. That's doing all sorts of great things in my mouth.
Right, okay, good. Phrasing. Yeah, it strikes that balance perfectly, I think. And has, because it is lighter and fresher and a little bit drier, that's almost a British influence as well. And a slightly higher bitterness, I think, than a traditional Helles would have. You know, maybe 20, 25 IBU, whereas Helles these days are pretty low.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah. It is. It's more aromatic than Tegs, but it's got a slight Tegs vibe. Incredibly fresh.
You love a Tegs.
I love a Tegs.
You love a Tegs.
And this reminds me a little bit of Tegs. Maybe an unfiltered Tegs. I don't know if that exists. I hope it does. I hope to go to Tegs one day. Stop saying Tegs. I love this.
That's a perfect pint.
A perfect pint.
Maybe.
There you go. I think
It's very good.
It might be perfection. Yeah.
It's very good. That's the first one as well.
Straight out the gate.
Wow. I think that's brilliant. And out of a can as well.
Mm-hmm.
Lager out of a can, tasting that good. The condition, I think, is brilliant on it.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. We talked about this actually at Delacen. The texture that you get from natural carbonation is very different to forced carbonation.
Yeah.
And you can try to mimic it with forced carbonation by doing it incredibly slowly. But it still doesn't create that kind of moussey feel where you almost don't notice the bubbles, you know?
Yeah.
They're so smooth on your tongue.
They're just bringing a lot of fun. They're just transmitting the flavours for me. The bubbles are doing a great job of wafting.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
A great job of wafting would be a podcast title for our podcast, for sure. Absolutely stunning beer, and it possibly only gets better from here, Bradley.
Wow.
I'm very excited how much you like that one. So it's British on the label.
British on
but
label.
Style-wise, we were in Germany there, Bavaria. Now
Yeah.
we're going to cross the border into Czechia, the Czech
favourite.
Republic.
Yes.
Exactly. My favourite styles of lager are made here. And this is a Bohemian lager.
Love it.
It's, again, 100% ingredient, 100% British ingredients. It's 100% ingredients.
There's 100% ingredients
There's
in
an
there.
insight for you. It's kind of like a 10 degree lager.
Okay, yeah.
So it's probably going to be a little bit drier than, say, certainly Pilsner Urquell, but the bigger 5% beers, but hopefully loaded with lots and lots of...
I'm salivating
Check
at the
character.
prospect of drinking this, Johnny.
Again, just look at the head on that.
Perfect condition again.
Yeah, it's beautiful, crystal clear.
Look at that.
And this one, I don't actually know whether they decoct this. I suspect they might, because they're Utopian, but this one's definitely, I think, double decocted.
Wow.
Don't know whether they mention it on the back.
I haven't whiffed
They're not
it
gonna.
yet, but...
Have a whiff,
I'm
tell me what you
excited.
think.
Soft, pillowy.
So, it's remarkable how, with this one and with this one, you can get, I can immediately smell Czech, Bavarian. I think because of that big decoction character, that kind of dolce de leche, sweet caramel, bready kind of character. But again, all British ingredients, which with the malt is, impressive.
Yeah, definitely.
But with the hops is even
Hops.
more so, because we
Big time.
fetishize SARS. I fetishize SARS.
Yeah, noble.
But this has that kind of slight, when combined with the malt, strawberry, fresh meadow, floral sweetness
Yeah,
to it.
exactly, meadowy sweetness. Oh, it smells great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm transported to like Nutitsie, these kind of amazing small lager producers in the Czech Republic where you get big, bold aroma, but particularly with a 10 degree Plato kind of beer, 4% beer, you get loads of dryness and freshness and almost that kind of carbonic acid hit at the end. It's that clean.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think the bitterness level is really nice on it.
Yeah, slightly elevated compared to the Helles.
Yeah.
So it feels a bit more lingering.
Chunky. There's some
Chunky.
chunkiness to the bitterness
Yeah.
there. That's another beautiful pint.
Yeah.
It's not a pint. I know I keep saying pint, but I want to drink pints.
Yeah, I think that's what's in your head.
Like you're saying, I'm totally transported by both of these so far to, the kind of the home nations of where we'd expect to get these from.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing. And it's like a utopian vision, like the name, isn't it? I guess, of like using the best of the materials you've got with intention to produce something from somewhere else.
Yeah.
In like a very authentic way.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to know where the name came from because everything about this beer is quite, in a nice way, quite nationalistic. It's like British ingredients. We've got
Britannia sort of on the front.
Sort of very kind of heraldic kind of feel to it. British brewed, naturally independent. Not quite sure what that means, but it's got a very British feel, and yet in outlook, it's very continental.
Yeah.
And in flavours, it's very continental, but all the ingredients are British. I love it as a kind of concept of being like. It's a great way to say love Britain because it is made up of all these things,
Exactly.
Hey Beer Geeks, sorry to interrupt the video, but we've just had a very long and mostly enlightening filming session, and these kind of things are only possible because of our amazing Patreons, and we would love you to join and to support the channel.
Yeah, so as you can see, we've got a table full of beer here. We've both had to get here today, and to keep the lights on at Craft Beer Towers, we really need you to subscribe, help us stay independent, making quality craft beer channel content all day, every day.
All day, every day, yeah. So you can join from as little as $2 a month. Those $2 will get you access to our Discord forum full of amazing homebrewers, beer geeks, all chatting away every day. You can put in a little bit more and you'll get a Christmas card from us every year, or you'll get a gift from us at $10 a month for every Christmas. And then if you're a business, you can join for $50 and get your logo at the start of every video. So there's options for everybody, however much you can give, and all of that keeps us independent and making amazing documentaries and explainers for you. Back to the video. So this is an under the radar, and quite often we try to pick out why a brewery might be flying under the radar a little bit. And I think with this one, it's quite obvious because we're so hyped by these beers. They're such high quality, so on point, so precise. It's because it's lager.
It's because it's lager, and there's like loads of great, easily available continental options.
Yeah, I think in the UK we forget that. You know, you go over to America and I think there's a bit more love for great lager because they don't have access. It's a bit like Belgium. You know, when American craft beer started, they were obsessed with Belgian styles because they couldn't get it. Whereas we were like, it's actually cheaper than buying British beer sometimes, Belgian beer. So I think, you know, that's literally the only reason, and it's a really tough sell. You know, every lager brewery in the UK says this. It's very hard to get people excited about lager, and I think that's why I said, you know, Utopian are maybe the best chance we have of doing it.
Yeah.
There's so many stories to tell, which you can tell about this one. So this is a Vienna, a Keller lager.
Okay.
Which I think to some people might sound like different styles.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused by that.
So the Vienna is the style of beer made in Vienna. Anton Dreher invented the style. He came back from a gap year with Gabriel Sedelmeier of Spaten. They discovered the new way of kilning that didn't add smoke and dark colouring, and made essentially the first pale lagers, really. Pilsner Urquell takes the crown, but they invented the first sort of amber lagers, I guess. And Anton Dreher made the Vienna, and Spaten revamped their Netzen. And then Keller lager is often associated with Franconia and these sort of sweet, slightly ambery, super fresh lagers.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see, I mean, there's also a Munich tradition of Keller lager, which essentially just means fresh from the cellar. It's what the brewers drink, which means it's not finished lagering. It's got a bit more character, maybe a little bit of banana, esters, that kind of stuff going on. So an unfiltered, super fresh lager. I don't know which way this is going to land. It is slightly hazy.
It's slightly hazy, and the head is like, it's a darker head for sure.
Yeah, off-white.
An off-white, yeah.
So it's a very different feel to these first two, and I presume is going to have a lot more in-your-face character. And the aroma would suggest that too. So it's got that kind of banana-y, caramelly, estery thing that the first one had.
Interesting.
But I'd say even more kind of caramel character because, as you can see, it is slightly darker.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Way drier and more hoppy than you'd find in Franconia. Most Franconian breweries, not all. Definitely not in the Munich tradition. We're up in Franconia / Austria.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting beer. I was not expecting that big hop hit.
No, there is a substantial hoppiness.
Yeah, and
to
a
the occasion.
grassiness to it as well, which you know balances it out quite nicely, but is not strictly to style, I'd say. But this kind of beer, and I'm not encouraging hair of the dog, but this is the kind of beer that I would drink with a hangover because it feels full-bodied, nourishing, fruity. Feels a little bit kind of porridgey.
Like it might, you're saying it might give you some life back after, when you're hanging.
And because it's so nicely balanced, it's also not, you know, nobody drinks an IPA with a hangover. That's a mad idea.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
This is the kind of stuff you would.
Yeah, like an easer inner kind of thing. Yeah, it's got a bit of substance to it, like you're saying, I think.
You know, beer used to be food. It used to be calories and nutrition for people. And these beers remind me of that. There's something a little bit carnal about these not entirely fully lagered, absolutely unfiltered, absolutely kind of rough-hewn beers that I just love. And I just want to drink in the morning. What's happening to me? So again, British lager, but we've been to Bavaria, the Czech Republic, Austria / Franconia, and now we're going back to the Czech Republic.
Wow.
So we're gonna have a Tmavy. I'm sorry, Czech Republic. Tmavy Pivo. So this is again like 4% 10 Plato lager, but dark.
Dark lager.
So in that kind of Budvar dark kind of
Love Budvar
Mode.
Dark. Yeah.
And I remember actually when we had that Budvar Dark, not my favourite beer sort of that I've had before, but when we had that in the cellars,
Oh, special.
it was a different beer. It was incredible. So much chocolatey deliciousness to it. And this is very much in that vein, hopefully. I'll be interested to see, because all of these malts are English, how close we can get with a more kind of roasted malt vibe.
Yeah. Great condition again, I've got to say.
Yeah, always, always. Nastravi.
Nastravi.
Nastravi. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So that's a little bit more kind of earthy and, well, earthy coffee vibes than the kind of chocolate that we had in the Budvar
Earthy
cellars.
coffee, a little bit
Yeah.
barrely.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Definitely kind of savoury, toasty notes. The roast slightly disguises the decoction character, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think you miss a little bit of that kind of mid-tone of the decoction. But wow, is that an aromatic but drinkable beer?
I mean, it's super. To me, like drinking a couple of mouthfuls of that, very crushable.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't have necessarily expected with a darker lager. I find them a little bit harder work. Probably just they're a little bit more complex, aren't they? But
Yeah, I think so. And I think roastiness is a hard thing to balance
yeah,
and achieve drinkability with, which is, I mean, there's all these cliches, you know, about dark beer gives you worse hangovers, is higher in calories, all this kind of like fundamentally nonsense. But there is, even knowing that's all nonsense, there's a perception,
yeah,
even as you look at it, that that won't be as drinkable as a clear beer, which has been there through all humanity. It's why people got excited about Pilsner Urquell in 1842, you know?
there's a really elegant sort of fine carbonation to this, which I think is really helping the mouthfeel. For me, it's making it more drinkable probably than it would if it didn't have that velvetiness.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that roastiness, but with false carbonation. It just,
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same.
yeah. I think, you know, Utopian, they tell brilliant stories, they're very British focused, they are hugely inspired by the continent, but fundamentally what I love about Utopian is how seriously they take the lager process. And knowing the head brewer, you know, there's not, I've never met somebody so fascinated, you know, really zoned in on just what making great lager is about.
Deep in the lager.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you do see that in Bavaria and in Czechia, but I think we've missed that in the UK. And there's maybe Alex at Lost and Grounded, maybe the guys at Braybrook to some extent as well, but just people who are just obsessed with it.
Do you think there's something quite beautiful about the freedom we have over here to maybe make different kinds of lager without constraints, because we don't necessarily have that rich lager tradition in the same way?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can like jump into these different costumes. Not that's costumes is a bit derogatory. These different kind of modes, and inhabit these different worlds, these different lands, and take a fresh approach to it.
Yeah, I think that
Without
is what
the
made
stigma.
American craft beer so great.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
had zero
Yeah.
links to the tradition of it.
There was
apart from,
nothing holding them back.
you know, adjunct lager. Yeah, and I think that's true of us. You know, we can go. You know, there's no brewery really, probably in the Czech Republic, that makes a Helles, and there's probably no brewery in Bavaria that makes a Czech
Yeah.
Pilsner. But we can do both, and a Tomavi, and an Austrian Franconian
Yeah.
Keller beer.
There
And-
are no rules.
Yeah, and just have fun with it. Well, I mean, there definitely are rules.
There are rules, but what I'm saying is we can break the rules.
I think process-wise, that's what makes Utopian great. They stick to the rules.
Yeah.
But in terms of what they can do with that process, they don't. Yeah. So in terms of the styles and the little plays, like, you know, changing up the ingredients and stuff like that, they'll play with it. But everything, you know, it's natural carbonation, it's decoction. There'll be lots of stuff in the brew house that is all about, and indeed in the fermentation, that would be about trying to recreate what they'd have had in Franconia or in Bavaria, in Munich or in the Czech Republic 150 years ago. So I think it's safe to say, hugely impressed and inspired by what Utopian are doing.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of something that excites me more than lager brewery using traditional methods to make modern beer with British ingredients. Like, that ticks all my boxes, really.
I mean, that's as a sort of a list of parts there. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's like hyper focused on a single mission to do something exquisitely well. And I think that table there is testament to it. I think that is a premium lager if ever there was one.
Exactly, the definition of premium. That's what premium should mean
It's fantastic.
to all of these focus groups.
Yeah.
You know, it's a truly special beer, and you know, often people get excited about the seasonals by breweries, but you just have to remember when it comes to a core beer like this, the amount of research, development, tweaking, repetitive learning that has gone into that. You know, often the core beers should be the best, and that is just a stunning thing that I think should be on tap in every good bar, really. In the
I want to see it everywhere. It's
Yeah.
absolutely tip top.
yeah. So yeah, love lager, love Utopian, love British ingredients,
Lager evangelists.
lager evangelists. Yeah.